very serious. Wow. Seems very serious. Like, it's like this is the nature of online. They're cranks, they're crazies, and they're not officially identified as Ed Markey supporters. Like, even if there was someone saying, I'm standing at, obviously, if they were was this picture, like, how did they get this picture? Were they standing outside?
They were just outside his house, yeah.
Or was it a publicly available picture? It was taken by them?
No, it was not. It was just outside his house.
Yeah, then that's someone who's, like, I mean, regardless of politics, like, that's someone who's, like, stalking someone else, like, clearly. And I think that's, like, a situation that they should probably report to the police.
Because that family does have a long history. I mean, his freaking grandfather got killed. His second uncle JFK got murdered.
Will someone think of the horror of the all the suffering and the pain the Kennedys have gone? They've had it so rough. Oh, I feel so bad for them.
But I don't know what's going on with you tonight, but I definitely would say, Spencer, that is pretty bad history they have with. I mean,
they're literally they're considered American royalty. Like, you're not gonna be.
Well, you're
not gonna be able to convince, like.
I'm not denying that, but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't correlate to freaking killing people.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not.
Or you are basically sugarcoating a situation where people are losing their own family members,
like,
which is
also
very inhumane.
If you see Ed Markey, like, yeah. Of course, you know what anyone.
Well, if Ed Markey's
grandfather
got shot,
it's hard.
I would feel horrible for him. I would feel horrible for Ed Markey if he had the history of Joe Kennedy. I still wouldn't support him, but I would not be harassing.
Kennedy was not a direct descendant of JFK or RFK, right?
No, he was.
He's descended from RFK?
Yeah, I'm gonna search up right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna search up Joe Kennedy.
Not JFK. Okay, so
no, JFK.
They both were
shot. Second cousin or second uncle, I believe. I forgot what it was. I forgot not second uncle. It was one of the titles. I know his father is Joe Kennedy II. Then who's Joe Kennedy II's father? Yeah. RFK is his grandfather.
I mean, you may disagree with this here, but yeah. Did Dave Wasserman call the
Senate race? He said it's most likely going to be Markey, but he said that when there was like 2% of the vote and Markey was up by like 20.
Oh, here it is. This was just an hour ago. I've seen enough. Ed Markey has defeated Joe Kennedy in
I don't know.
primary.
It is moving towards Kennedy's.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's enough to say. That's enough for me. Dave Wasserman, when he says that, like, he's very.
It's not even 50. Like, if it was 50%,
he's pretty dead on accurate. Like,
I don't know, Spencer. 600,000 people requested a mail-in ballot and mailed it in.
I think he's well aware of who's requesting mail-in ballots and who's not. Like, he's a pretty smart. He like.
You know what's funny?
I don't know. I don't disagree with everything that he tweets about Twitter's not real life, but he does know his
a couple races right this year, because he called Lacey Clay literally a couple minutes after then he deleted that tweet, and the same person.
Well, this one's been up for an hour or so.
I know. Well, he called Lacey Clay, and then look what happened.
How quickly did he delete that?
He deleted it after he realized Cori Bush took the lead, because he was like, he doubts that Cori Bush was going to take the lead. Which at the time, he announced it right when it was in the 20s or low 30s of precincts reported.
Well,
and that was with Lacey up like 40%.
If Ed Markey does lose, then you can you have your if he does, I
don't think it's necessary to call the race yet.
If he does, you have permission to laugh at me, but I don't think I'm willing to start using the language now that, of course, Alex Morse lost. Very, very sad about that, but Ed Markey did win, and Joe Kennedy is now going to have to. He's going to be out of a job, unfortunately for him.
Well, that's fine. He'll run for the Senate again, Brian. Yeah, he'll run for a seat again. I think he should run for governor in 2022. Massachusetts have a governor
That's race. Interesting. Yeah, like the thought process behind challenging Markey and not Charlie Baker there is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him running against Markey, though. I don't like Markey. A lot of people don't like Markey. But a lot of people don't understand the reason for Kennedy to run, which is probably the reason why they're voting for Markey.
And I think he harnessed a more excited base. I think Markey harnessed a more excited base and
an
also,
outsider excited base, because
and the fact
majority
that
of Massachusetts
he lost,
who voted for
and the fact
Ed
that he
Markey.
lost with such a deep hole with younger voters, and after
Well,
kind of
actually, there
presenting
was a
himself as
recent
someone for
the
generational change. Like that's not a.
yeah, well, but funny enough, the recent poll that came out only had Markey with 56% of support from young voters. So
But still it's a pretty solid majority, and there has been polls
56
that
to
have
44
said
is not a
more.
solid difference. That's
It's pretty
8 points.
much with what
No, Buttigieg
what's
was
his
freaking like
name?
he had like what 2 or 3% young people. It's ridiculous. He had
No,
nothing.
it's pretty much what Neil just won by. So it's a pretty with it, give or take 4 points. But let's see.
And then also in regards to actually, let me ask you this: what do you think about Kennedy overall as a person? I understand this outside the
Overall as a
context of
person,
this race.
yeah,
Like
I just like
politician, outside the context of this race, do you like him or no?
no,
Outside the
and that's a
context,
big reason why.
you
Like
don't like. Why? Why do you like?
I know much more about the way he's conducted himself, and unlike you, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm coming out really for unlike you and Chase, I have not been like deeply studying with the records and everything about this race, and I really much more know how Joe Kennedy has run his campaign, like public
No, I said
facing
outside
in the
of
media.
race. Outside of the race, I'm saying, what do you think about Kennedy?
I don't know Kennedy, like the Kennedy family overall.
No. Joe Kennedy, the third. What do you think of him outside of that? Do you think he is? You think he has been a relatively good politician while in Congress? And this is before the race I'm mentioning.
I
Because he
mean,
was in
I'm
Congress
just
before the
telling.
race.
Before the race, before anything to do
Yeah.
with before. Okay, pretty much all I know about. I didn't know too much about him before the race. All I knew about he gave the kind of unimpressive response to the State of the Union,
State of the
where his
Union,
mouth
yeah.
was like super drippy or whatever. People talked about that, but like I don't know. Like the biggest thing, the perception that formed with him has been in his campaign. And again, it hasn't been like too much based around the record. I think the biggest thing for me, the reason why record wise, I think Markey coming out supporting the Green New Deal really counteracts a lot of things that you'd say about
I disagree. I disagree
as a Republican.
wholeheartedly.
And again,
wholeheartedly on that. I think that
when
is
it comes
really
to the
an
record, I would really be
uneducated opinion
interested.
to have
I
on
would
this
be
matter.
really interested to see what Chase would have to say that because he's been volunteering for months for the Markey campaign. But
Weeks, not months, but okay.
yeah, whatever. But like that would be I think much more of his department, and I would love to see you guys have a debate on that. And I think I'd learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I
but
mean, look, what
I think
Markey
like
has
just
been good on is
some of the stuff.
definitely
Some of the stuff that he's done, I think some of the stuff that he's done with the way he's run his campaign, the stuff of the online support thing rubbed me the wrong way. Some of the things where he's been involved with it just seems to be like a kind of those a political climber who just wasn't very trustworthy and not very much not really kind of a progressive guy. Like it's just the way I saw it in terms of looking at who endorsed him. Looking at the support that he got, looking at the support that Markey got from people like Nancy Pelosi, really breaking her "I hate incumbent, I hate running against incumbents" motto to endorse someone. That to me was really telling. It's just like who are the fans?
I mean, I'll give that to you, but I mean, the fact of the matter is Kennedy did get more support from progressives than Ed Markey did. Rahul Grijalva endorsed Kennedy couple days ago over Ed Markey because of the fact that Ed Markey voted with Republicans on multiple immigration cases. And the fact of the matter is, Kennedy really isn't actually all that bad of a guy. I like Kennedy a lot more than Markey in regards to record. And I think what you said before, that his Green New Deal thing outweighs his bad, I think that is completely false, Spencer. Completely. People are literally in broadband dead zones because old white Republican Markey was too much of a little man with no hands to have any type of defense of his beliefs to vote for the Telecommunications Act in 1987 and against the Telecommunications Act in 1996. Okay, his vote and the overall passing of that bill, which he had a major effect on because of the fact he voted for it, is the reason why many places like Western Massachusetts, like other parts of the country, are without broadband access, fair broadband access, to be clear. And I think the fact that you say that his support of a Green New Deal, which, by the way, is just a piece of paper that hasn't actually been passed yet, is really, really outlandish. And on your part, I'm not saying that, it's dumb or anything.
Putting
I
your
just
name
think
behind the
it's
Green
really
New Deal is,
uneducated
I think,
to say
in
that
a
it is
statewide
more
race,
important.
it's a politically. I think it's a politically
Well, Kennedy
risky
did that
move.
as well. That's why I say, like, if Kennedy didn't do it, then I'd say fine. I could agree with you. Kennedy did that as well. And the fact of the matter is, Ed Markey destroying people's lives with getting rid of bank regulation by voting for the repeal is also much worse. That does not get rid of the fact because that actually passed. That has affected people. The Green New Deal is a piece of paper that hasn't passed yet. I'm all for it. But the fact of the matter, the difference is if the Green New Deal passed, it still wouldn't cover up all of his horrible votes. It would lighten the tone that I have right now, and it probably would water down. I definitely would agree. But it does not cover a plethora of votes that this man has behind him that show he does not really give a damn crap about the people of Western Massachusetts, nor does he really care about the country as a whole, especially in regards to broadband access and bank regulation and wars and on trade and on financial regulation, which, by the way, in regards to financial regulation, which I did not even touch on, Ed Markey has worked with Republicans on multiple times in regards to financial regulation. Not even to mention, though, that he voted. I can't remember if he voted yes or no on NAFTA. I'm trying to remember here. I remember he voted against Democrats. Let me ask you this. You might know the answer to this. Did Democrats at the time, did they overly support or denounce NAFTA when that first came up?
NAFTA, I'm pretty like some of them did. I think they overwhelmingly supported it. If I would be correct.
I believe he might have been the one I think he might have supported it then. Markey supported it, I believe. Yeah, I remember that.
I will be right on that with a Google there.
Yes, please. I would like to be fact checked on that because I believe he did. For a fact, I know he voted for the Hyde Amendment as well, which also is something I wanted to bring up earlier. So like these horrible votes, I do not think that they cover up because he supports a Green New Deal. Now,
here's what he says. This is what he says about the USMCA.
That's recent here, though. That's recent, though.
Since NAFTA went into effect on January 1994, 26 years ago, every year a young person's life has been warmer than the 20th century average. So kind of making that about climate. He's voting. He says he's voting against the USMCA because he's against it for climate change. I negotiated became much better than my.
That's good.
Yeah, I think he voted against the USMCA because of the NAFTA thing. So let's see. All right. You know what? Actually, yeah, I can't find that. I can't find completely about that.
Okay. Well, I know he voted for the Hyde Amendment in regards to what I was mentioning about other votes. I see that's the thing. Like, I don't think that like voting for the Hyde Amendment, voting for things, against telecommunication access in his own state, may I remind you, is something that does not get to cover up because, Spencer, this hurts his own state. I'm not saying the Green New Deal will hurt. The Green New Deal will greatly help it. But the fact of the matter is people in his own damn state are without broadband access because of Ed Markey's votes. And I don't think voting for a Green New Deal, which does not fix that underlying problem of broadband access, will cover that up. I think it's wrong to say that it's going to cover it up or it's going to even honestly make people's lives better in regards to broadband access because it's not. And the fact of the matter is, you mentioned before, like Kenny doesn't have a record on that. Yeah, while he doesn't have a record on telecommunications major bills, he does have a record on smaller telecommunications bills. Kennedy did vote to expand access with cell, not broadband necessarily with Wi-Fi, but he did vote for a bill which would allow for the expansion of cell networks across the country. And in regards to that, it actually would help his own congressional district, which is Massachusetts 4th. They are not nearly as widely spread without broadband and cell access as much as Western Western Massachusetts, which is where Richard Neal actually represents. Which actually, speaking of Richard Neal also voted like Markey on the Telecommunications Act 1996 and 1987, just so you have a comparison. So, old man Markey that you like so much mirrors, your hated man of which I perfectly respect.
I mean, like again, I think the case to be made that you made there, like I don't think that's as right wing as you think of it is, saying that you just want less competition. Like that seems like I don't get how that's a Republican case, but
because what it did, Spencer, was it destroyed the small businesses that were allowing for broadband access.
But wait, didn't you say before that he wanted less competition or he wanted more competition? That's why he voted against the bill.
Well, let me see his response again. Let me search it up. Telecommunications.
All right. Well, you know what? All right, we'll have to. Yeah, it's been a big big thing. It's been a big. I mean, you know what? Actually, James, would you say that this